Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is the last of the primary 6 archangels that I work with. And this one is one that has popped up very frequently in a lot of New Age circles and a lot of spiritual circles because of the type of energy that comes forward with this particular angel. It's very intense but also very kind. And the Archangel's name is Archangel Metatron, classified as a new quote-unquote angel. The information here is stuff that I've researched for years. It's meditations I've done with Metatron myself. So it's you'll get a good mix of kind of how the multifaceted this particular archangel is. And the way I like to do this is to go over the traditional information first and then some of the newer, more modern quote-unquote information. I don't think personally that the angels change that much. I think it's our perspective and how clear we can see them comes up, or through what kind of a veil we're looking at. So the information is the most commonly accepted stuff. It's not just this is the way it only is. So the meaning of Metatron is technically, or one of the written meanings is little Yahweh, little YHWH, which also means the angel of spiritual evolution. So he's the angel of ascension. His colors in traditional sense are white and gold. The planet, interestingly enough, is the planet Pluto. I know NASA claims it's not a planet, but some of us still call it a planet. The day of the week is either Sunday or Monday, because he works with either solar or lunar energy, depending on basically what your needs are. It's all day and all night. There's no time that Metatron's not available or is not at full power. The difference with Metatron is, and this came through to me almost 20 years ago when I first really started coming to terms with who he was, because he was such a powerful being, is I always saw him in spiritual circles as above. If you do standard like Wicca and you're calling the watchtowers, you have north, south, east, and west. And with Sandalphon, it felt like a supporting role beneath me. Metatron is always one that came through as someone who guards the upper gate, which helps open the channel to the divine. But a more traditional, if you will, term would have Metatron co-hosting the northern gate with Uriel. The element for Metatron is, of course, spirit, but also can be tied into air, which is Raphael's energy. So you've really got an overall view with Metatron of all of them. You can work with Metatron using various stones. Quartz is just a generic angel stone. Angelite's another generic angel stone. But you can use moonstone. Any of the tektites, the meteorite type stones, are great for working with Metatron. Moldavite and Libyan desert glass are two primary ones that I use, mainly because their energy is different. If you've never worked with it, that's definitely one to try, although they are both exceptionally expensive to get actual Moldavite and actual Libyan desert glass, because a lot of the times they try to give you generics, so just make sure you're getting it from a reputable place. The metals that go along with Metatron are gold and steel. Gold is for the absolute purity, and steel is for strength. Metatron has both. He tends to work primarily with the crown chakra, although in my more recent meditations, I've noticed that the chakra is actually activating a lot of the out-of-body ones. The soul star, the causal, and the stellar gateway also work really highly with Metatron. So Metatron is known as a keeper of records, the guide of learning, the protector of children. The protector of children is really important. Metatron wants to make sure that this next generation coming up is trained in ways of keeping them safe from a lot of the hostility that spirituality has been given over the years. So it's a big thing for him. The other one with him is the angel of spiritual ascension. He's here to help you understand your spirituality, whether you're 7 or 70. He's here to help you understand it, open up, and really step into that higher frequency. The spiritual tool or weapon, depending on who you read, I've always seen them as weapons because they help basically defend us but also help us grow, as steel sharpens steel kind of a thing. Whereas tools are handy, but they're for building and constructing. A weapon is mainly for you. I know I see things a little differently, but that's alright. His spiritual weapon is the Merkaba, which is a 12-pointed star. Metatron's cube, which is a really intricate, detailed design, originally from, I believe, the East. And then there's also the Lotus, and how he's always come to me when I first started really working with Metatron, before I even knew what his name was. There was always an image of a scroll, like the old school wind-up scrolls, and a quill, the white feathered quills. And I couldn't figure out why I was seeing this all the time when I would work with this one gigantic angel. And it was because he is a education angel. He also holds all the records on the Akashic records. So if you work with the Akashic records, working with Metatron is a good way to help you ground that information deeper into yourself and also share it in a way that people can understand. There's a lot of guides out there, but Metatron, if you are struggling to find one, he's just a good one to step in and be like, hey, I got this. So on the Tree of Life, if you study Kabbalah in any form, it's Kether, which is the finality of the Tree of Life. It's the crown, it's the top. It's the one that would, in some traditional circles, especially Golden Dawn type work, can take as long as a lifetime to achieve that access point. But rest assured, Metatron is not the type of angel to be like, if you haven't spent 25 years searching, you can't talk to me. No, he's going to be there from day one and move up with you. There's two different choirs that are associated with Metatron. The first one I'm not even going to attempt to say because it's, I believe, Yiddish, and I do not speak Yiddish. But the other one is the Seraphim, and it's an association. They won't pin down that he's actually part of the Seraphim, but usually when they talk about Metatron, they usually talk about him being with the Seraphim, maybe not out of the Seraphim. In the more modern times, and I can't quite place this color personally, I don't see it this way, but some people do, it's the color maroon, that borderline blood red color. And there are people in today's culture who see Metatron associated with the heart chakra and with the element of fire. The fire element I can see in how he deals with us, but the heart chakra is not one that I generally associate with him, but that's how my experience has been. This Archangel Metatron is a unique angel that, according to legend, was the human prophets, one of the human prophets before he became an angel. Metatron was the prophet Enoch, who was with God and never saw death. His spiritual twin is his brother Sandalphon, and he is the other angel on the lid of the Ark of the Covenant, according to a few different traditions are really bringing this forward, that that's who is on the hood of the Ark of the Covenant, is Metatron and Sandalphon. I don't think in all the research that I've done, I've only found a couple of traditions that reference that, but I haven't found any traditional documents from lineaged Judeo sources that specifically name the angels on the top of the Ark of the Covenant. So it's a fun little idea, if nothing else. Metatron's energy tends towards the masculine, although because of his very nature, he balances the masculine and feminine energies within a person. Nothing's too big or small for this angel, and he works with humans who are honest and who show honest gratitude. I always, in a lot of the videos I do, I reference thanking the angels or the divine or the guides that work with you frequently when they're helping you. A lot of why I have that push to really be grateful for their help is because of working with Metatron. Metatron wants to help us in every way, shape, and form, but to help someone who's not grateful is going to make you resentful. And so Metatron wants to help you understand that to be grateful in small things is to be grateful in big things. And so passing that on through thanking the angels, thanking divine, when something good happens, just a quick little thank you, Divine Source God Energy, for giving me this blessing. Thank you to the angels that were sent by him or her, depending on how you see divine. But it's always a way to really tap into that gratitude because it gives back to the angels, it gives back to Source, and it allows them to know that you are acknowledging that it wasn't just you doing the work. So, gratitude's really big with Metatron. Archangel Metatron traditionally has been described as having 36 pairs of wings. That's 72 wings. That's a lot of wings. And his body is of fire and eyes cover his form. And when you see a lot of the old art depicting a lot of these angels, it's very, very, very suggestive. And it's not, well, not suggestive in the bad way, but like artistically rendered. So you'll see a lot of the intensity that they were trying to describe what they were seeing. When I usually see him, and the very first time I saw him it was crazy, I couldn't even comprehend his size. In brilliant white robes that were the color of, his wings were the color of moonstone, or they're diamond colored, so they're crystal clear but they're super hard, you can just see the strength in them. He also appears to me with golden or white hair, and most of the time it's white, but on occasion it's golden, wearing sandals and carrying a scroll with the Merkaba, the 12-pointed star, floating above his head. When I first connected with Archangel Metatron, I didn't know who this angel was. Literally, I was working with Michael and Gabriel at the time, and all of a sudden this angel came through. The energy was so big, I could only comprehend basically a toe. I could not see his face. I could not see anything above that toe. It was just a massive toe. And it was a weird experience because you're meditating, and so you suddenly get this impression, you're like, who is this? And I heard laughter from so far above me I couldn't actually tell you where it was coming from. That was that high. But over time, about the third or fourth time I think it was, he reached down and picked me up in his hand, in meditation of course, and lifted me up. Well, it felt like the never-ending elevator before we got to the point where I could see his face, and it was a radiant, glowing, exceptionally massive angel. The other angels would, adjust their size so they could be with you in a room and talk to you that way, but he was trying to make a point that the angels are not just one size and that their power actually is significantly more than what we a lot of times give them credit for. Metatron is the chief recording angel and is tasked with maintaining all of the Akashic records, which I mentioned before. He's the angel that will help you with your spiritual journey. A brilliant angel to ask for help in learning or teaching, so if you are a student or a teacher, both would work well with Archangel Metatron. He's also associated with the understanding of sacred geometry, so if geometry is not your thing or you struggle with it, having Metatron come through, even with just the mathematical principles, in the old days, math was classified as a religious pursuit, and so having an archangel whose work is with sacred geometry is a way to help you understand, even if they don't teach the spiritual aspect of it, help you understand the geometry in a way that will be easier for you to work with. Even if you never use it again, it's at least will give you another tool in your spiritual arsenal. There is a lot I could put down here, and literally we could go on for hours because Metatron is such a powerful angel, and just from my experience of working with him, it's unbelievable how much you can learn from this angel. So what I would like to say here at the end of this video, towards the end of the video, is to work and connect with Archangel Metatron is very simple, really. You can, if you like candles, just light a white candle. My preference is to hold quartz crystal or angelite whenever I work with the angels, but with Metatron in particular, you want to hold a quartz or something along those lines that's associated with ascension, which is like amethyst and stuff like that. If you can find, and they're a little bit pricey, so I don't usually say buy this, and only if you can, but they have little Merkaba stones that are about an inch tall, and I don't have one because it's just, I've been able to tap into the energy without it, but if you want a little extra boost, getting a Merkaba, and they now come in hundreds of different colors, it feels like. Originally I only saw them in amethyst and quartz, but I've seen them in tiger's eye, lapis lazuli, and a whole bunch of other stones and colors, so you can find one of those and hold that to help tap into his energy. And sit next to a window that has sun coming into it. The sun really does help us activate our ascension energies, our spiritual journey. The moon helps tap into the subconscious and the psychic, whereas the sun really brings forward the more forward-moving energy, the more projective, I guess you call it the more masculine, the more dominant energy. And that's why you want to sit with the sun, preferably, for coming in on you. Breathing very deeply and slowly. Breathe through your belly. We always breathe through our chests. Bring it down into your belly so your belly expands when you inhale and contracts when you exhale. And that way, when you're breathing like that, you can bring in this white gold healing energy and allow the stress to go out when you exhale, and breathe in this white gold when you are inhaling, and it really does ground this energy deeper into you. And do this deep belly breathing for 4 to 5 repetitions, and if it feels like you want to go more, do that. Just keep breathing through your belly. When you're ready and you feel more calm and relaxed and open to the experience, ask Divine God, Source Energy, however you see it, to send Archangel Metatron to you. When he arrives, you'll know the minute Archangel Metatron arrives. The other angels are fairly gentle in how they come in. He's gentle, but even just doing the simple breathing and calming yourself, you're going to feel a shift in energy within the room. And it is not scary, but it's definitely like kind of a catch your attention energy shift. The energy will come across as massive. Like I said, I don't know why he does this, but when he comes in, it's always in this bigger than life energy. The other angels, like I said, will come in gentle, they're calm, they don't, their energy is not explosive, but when Metatron comes in, it always feels very like, hello, I'm here. And I think part of it might be because he wants you to understand that you are on the right journey, let's do this. So it could be in introducing himself like that. When he shows up, you can introduce yourself and ask really anything. There's not a limit to what he will respond to. He loves interacting with humans, and if you read much about the prophet Enoch, he wanted to help humanity grow, and he did everything he could before the flood to actually expand consciousness with people, because he did have a direct conversation with God through his entire life. He was a very spiritual person. And if you are really wanting to learn about spirituality, that he's the angel to work with. And once you've completed the conversation, and it can be a couple of minutes, one question, it could be for 4 or 5 hours. That's up to you and Metatron. Thank Metatron and thank God, Divine Source Energy, for sending you this angel. Then take a couple of deep breaths, finding your footing, finding grounding, and really come back into waking consciousness. Working with the energy as big and intense as Metatron at times can cause almost a headache afterwards. You'll feel elated, but you'll have this like back of the skull kind of pressure, and it's not bad. Just drink some water, do something distracting to like laugh about something. Comedies are great, however you find amusement, but just let your energy settle down, because his energy is so powerful and it will help lift you up spiritually, physically. It can help be very healing, but being in the presence of that much intensity can also cause us to have a little bit of fallout when it leaves. It's not bad. You'll eventually adjust, and when you do adjust to it, you'll notice you can hang out longer, and eventually you'll get to a point where you can just have a conversation like he's a friend, because, well, he is. But if you can go outside, and this is the other beauty of working with the angels, they love to work with you outdoors, because you tend to get more grounded and more open to experiences when you're not surrounded by electronics, you're not surrounded by metal, you're not surrounded by the chaos of life that's in the side of a town or a building. Being outdoors, being able to touch the grass, and if you can be barefoot, they are finding, every day I find out a different article talking about how great being barefoot on dirt, on gravel, on grass is for the human body. They're starting to find out actually we have a drainage system, funny thing, that drains out the denser energies that we kind of accumulate. It's like a stress release. And if you look back to the ancient pagans, they knew this when they would go into spiritual land, or go into their sacred circles, or go into the temples. You always took your shoes off, because it was a way to ground yourself and basically help clear out so you could have the spiritual experience. And that's why I really recommend being barefoot outdoors 4 or 5 minutes a day. If you can do it longer, great. If you're out in the garden, even better. Don't wear shoes in the garden. Just be out there in the dirt and the mud. It's all right. Wash your feet off before you come inside, type thing. But you're going to notice over time that you feel better doing that. And when you're working with Metatron, you can just be outside barefoot. If you can find a meadow, is great. As weird as it may sound, and if you can't do this, that's fine too. He'll show up wherever. But if you can be on the top of a hill where you have that little bit of a breeze and there's really nothing obscuring you from up, it's a different kind of meditation that will occur at that point. And it's going to be a lot more, I almost want to say intense, but it's not like scary intense. It's just because you're away from everything, you're above everything, you're actually getting into the energy field of above, which is what Metatron works in. If you want to hold a stone that I referenced in before, do that. If you don't feel drawn to a stone, you don't have to have it. That's just, I work with crystals a lot, and so that's why I recommend them. And just relax and do the same type of practice. Do your belly breathing, ask God to bring in Metatron to talk with you, and just do the same type of communication. The one thing with Metatron, and I say this with all of the angels, when you first start working with them, always have a notebook handy. If you write down the answers to the question, write down your questions, and then write down the answers as they come through. Any impressions, the first thought that comes to your head is usually an answer. Write all those down. It might be completely meaningless to you in that moment in time, but once you have taken the time to ground afterwards and really settle yourself back down, and you look at it the next day, a lot of the times those answers that you thought were meaningless the day before will suddenly have a deeper understanding. Because in the moment you may not fully be aware of what's coming in, but the next day when you've calmed back down and you're more grounded in yourself, you'll see that these messages are amazing. And sometimes they're big and sometimes they're little. It just really depends on you and how you're responding to this information. So, with that, I hope that you guys enjoyed this little discussion about the angels, and like I said, the end of September I'm going to go over how I work with these 6 angels in particular. So look for that at the end of September. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a full movement thing. It depends on cameras and mics and speakers and all that fun stuff. Or if I'll just explain it through a meditation, because I have that way of doing it as well. So, with that, I will wish you guys an awesome week. And if you enjoy this kind of content, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you want to leave a comment, I read all my comments and I do appreciate them. My only request is be respectful when you leave a comment. There's enough negativity in the world. So I will talk to you guys at a later time, and I hope you have an awesome week.